Join us now for Education Matters, a weekly look at the real people and real stories in education across North Carolina.
Welcome to Education Matters, presented by the Public School Forum of North Carolina. I'm Keith Poston. Last year, the average pay for a principal in North Carolina ranked 50th nationally. The General Assembly responded with new investments and a new plan for how principals are paid. That plan has drawn a lot of criticism because, if unchanged, it will result in big pay cuts for many experienced principals and perhaps create a disincentive for talented principals to help turn around struggling schools. This week, we're joined by two former Principals of the Year and a district superintendent to discuss. Before we tackle our main topic, we open with Edlines, a quick scan of education headlines across North Carolina and the U.S. The legislative session of the General Assembly kicked off last week. This year is the so-called short session, where only budget bills affecting last year's two-year budget are considered, as well as any bill that passed one chamber or the other. Of course, history has shown these rules are not always hard and fast. House and Senate leaders say they have already agreed on the actual budget, and they figure to aim to complete their work quickly. With every House and Senate member facing a challenger in November, there's a big incentive to expedite adjournment so they can hit the fundraising and campaign trail. One of the first education bills introduced following the teacher march and rally last week would require every school in the state to post "In God We Trust" signs in a prominent place in the school. The bill introduced by Republican House members would also require the display of U.S. and North Carolina flags in each classroom and the recitation of the Pledge of Allegiance every day. Now, clearly the biggest headline last week was the teacher march and rally that I just mentioned. That rally drew more than 20,000 teachers from across the state to Raleigh to push for more support for public schools. Education Matters was there with our camera, and we talked to teachers about why they marched. Take a look. What do you hope to accomplish? What do you hope that this gathering does?
Well, number one, I hope that it gives our teachers an opportunity to have their voices heard. As I've traveled the state, one of the recurring themes has been I feel almost invisible. I don't feel like they see what we're doing and what our struggles are, and I just don't know how to help them understand.
I want teachers to get their stories out there. We each have an individual story about our school, about our students, about our community. And each of those stories is a collective responsibility of all the people that are involved.
We're here with Mark Jewell, president of North Carolina Association of Educators, NCAE, who organized today's rally. Well, first of all, did you expect this kind of turnout?
We were thinking about 1,000, and then obviously we saw school districts working with their school boards and administration to actually close the school system so they could take personal days. We're 39th in the nation. We're the 9th largest system in the country, and we're 39th in teacher pay, $9,000 below the national average. Our students deserve better than that.
I want all the students in public schools to have a fair education. It's seeing the children suffer day after day, year after year, because I've been doing it 20 years, and I know where we started. I know how it used to be.
Children don't have materials to take home. The teachers are supplying more and more.
My son is 16 years old, and my textbooks are older than him.
When we see our pay, when we see the disparities in education, it's disheartening.
What do you want our elected officials to hear?
That our kids need more, our teachers need more. We're asked to make future leaders and doctors and lawyers and scientists with a penny and a pat on the back. They've taken the creativity and the autonomy out of teaching.
We recently had a school that had to close. They had a termite infestation across the floor in the library, and they had to completely redo that. So that school went without a library until that floor was redone. And there's no money to do that. The reason that we took a day off, some of us had to take a personal day, pay $50 out of our pocket to be here, pay to be here, drive here. 3 hours is what I drove. Some of my other educators are driving for 5 hours. But we're not here to take a day off. We're here to support our students and make sure that the General Assembly raises per pupil spending.
We're not asking for a lot. North Carolina is a dominant force in education. We have kids coming from all over the world. We need more bilingual type classes for our teachers. We have a lot of ESL students in our schools, and just meeting the needs of being able to communicate, to keep that barrier open, to make all our students feel involved and feel important.
The kids just need more. You know, I like the money, but it's not about the money. I didn't go into education for the money. I went in it for the kids. And they're falling apart, and they need so much more support.
Over and over again, all I kept hearing was, I want to help my students. And that's why they came to Raleigh today. It's been already been an unprecedented day for North Carolina and for education. It'll be interesting to see what happens in this legislative session. It was indeed quite a scene. The real question, of course, remains, will it make a difference? We'll definitely be watching.